Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the channel. This is going to be part 2 of Ben Azadi talking about your body and how you can fix it, because doctors aren't telling you this. It's ridiculous. Doctors are highly educated to actually supposed to be telling you this stuff, but they don't because of Big Pharma. So here's part 2. Here we go.
Somebody's stress bucket is so high and you put them in a 3-minute cold plunge, that person will not adapt. They're going to feel awful the rest of the day. So one of the most important things you can do to assess if this biohack, this fasting, whatever you're doing to stress the body is working for you or against you, is to monitor your nervous system. What I mean by that is you have your sympathetic branch, fight or flight, and then you have your parasympathetic, rest and digest. We want a healthy balance of back and forth. And the best marker I think we have available to test this is HRV, heart rate variability. So I have an Oura Ring. Some of you might have an Oura Ring or a Whoop Band or an Apple Watch. That gives you heart rate variability. In general, the higher that goes, the better. So on days where you have an above average HRV, go ahead and do the plunge. Go ahead and do the stressor. But pay attention to how you feel the rest of the day. When you do the cold plunge or the red light therapy, you should feel better the rest of the day. You should see an increase in HRV, a better sleep. But if you see the opposite, you did too much. So please apply the principle of hormesis to the stressors that you do, because just because Gary Brecka could do 4 minutes in the cold plunge or Joe Rogan could do 20 minutes, doesn't necessarily mean you should do it or I should do it. So always pay attention to that. Number 2, adulterated seed oils. Since the 1920s, we see a huge influx in these industrialized seed oils, along with refined carbohydrates, sugar, and grains. How many of you know Dr. Kate Shanahan, author of Deep Nutrition? Not a lot of you do. Okay, so she has a great book called Deep Nutrition. She was the nutritionist for the Los Angeles Lakers when Kobe Bryant used to play. Friend of mine, I asked her the question, Dr. Kate, I'm going to give you 3 scenarios. Which scenario is going to lead to disease faster? Smoking cigarettes every day, eating processed sugar every day, or eating vegetable oils every day? What do you think she said? The vegetable oils? Yeah, you're smart. She said, that's an easy question, Ben. Hands down, it's the vegetable oils. She said, look, smoking's not good for you, but once you finish the last puff, that damage is done. That cigarette smoke is not being stored in your body fat. Processed sugar, not good for you, but what happens after you get a big glucose spike? It goes back down. But these vegetable oils, called linoleic acid, the half-life, meaning if you stopped eating them today, the half-life, half of them will still remain in your body 680 days later. 2 days later, inflaming your cells, your mitochondrial membranes. It's a problem. So I'm going to give you a list of the ones you want to avoid in a second. But the reason they're so problematic is because of the way they're processed. High temperatures, chemical agents, it adulters it, and it's needed for a long shelf life, but it shuts down oxygen transfer. Not good. So here's the list. The ones you want to avoid. Do an audit at home. When you're at a restaurant, make sure you're avoiding it. Canola, which is called rapeseed oil in the UK. Corn, soybean, cottonseed, safflower, peanut, sunflower, grapeseed, rice bran, and yes, fish oil is considered a bad fat as well. We want to swap them for saturated fats and monounsaturated fats. Olive oil, avocado, grass-fed butter, ghee, duck fat, lard, coconut oil, beef tallow. And here's a rule of thumb. When you're cooking with foods, when you're cooking with fats, animal fats are best. When you're using salad dressings and dips, more plant-based, fruit-based fats are best. So for example, cooking would be better with grass-fed butter, ghee, duck fat, lard, and beef tallow. Dressings and dips, more of the other ones. When I go to restaurants, I drive my fiance crazy sometimes because when I have this seed oil allergy card. Let me go back a second before I reveal that. I tell the server I'm allergic to vegetable oils. We did it last night, right, Paul? And I tell them that because I don't want to eat vegetable oils at restaurants, right? Doc, we were there. I showed them my seed oil allergy card. They pay attention when you say it is an allergy versus a preference. So for years, I've been telling my students to do this, and I created this. It's called a seed oil allergy card. And on here, it tells the chef, I'm allergic to these bad oils. Please swap them for this. You can download the digital version of it, but I have some gifts for you. So after my lecture, where are they? Here we go. After my lecture, I'm going to be right there. I have 50 books, and I have 50 of these metal business cards that have the seed oils on them. So would you like this? Would you guys, yeah? Yeah, so as soon as we're done, head over there. I have 50 of these. It's this, but printed out for you, and you just show it to the server. It works like a charm. So that's what I was saying right there. KetoFlex and then seed oil cards. Okay, number 3, glyphosate. Stephanie Seneff has shown, and Nancy Swanson, strong correlations between glyphosate and disease. Glyphosate, Roundup, herbicides, pesticides, atrazine, everywhere. And here are some strong correlations between the application of glyphosate and dementia, diabetes, autism, Alzheimer's, and also Parkinson's. Glyphosate rips open your tight junctions. Glyphosate forces heavy metals deeper inside of your tissues. Glyphosate is a problem. When you think about, how many of you have been to Europe before, Italy or anywhere in Europe? What do they have, what's the difference between the people in Europe, let's say Italy for example, and here in the United States? What's the biggest difference? But with the people, not the food necessarily, but the people. They're not at stuff, yeah, they're not as overweight there. They're not as obese. Do they have more gyms there? Is that why? No, they have a fraction amount of the gyms. So what's the difference? They banned glyphosate years ago. They banned red dye 40 and all these ingredients for us, for them. But here in the United States, they're not banned. And that is the biggest difference right there. So we want to eat organic, non-GMO as much as possible. B minerals, fulvic and humics, great way to get rid of glyphosate as well, so maybe consider that. But number 4, which is the first domino here with all the disease, is glucose, high glucose and insulin spikes. This is the first domino to fall before all these metabolic conditions happen. So here's the untold truth about diabetes. Most people don't understand, this is type 2 diabetes, that just because you're taking medication doesn't mean you're exempt from the set of statistics, heart disease, kidney failures, etc. Medication for type 2 diabetes might show the blood sugar is getting better, but the disease is getting worse and it's progressing. And this study shows that if your A1C, which is the 3-month average of your blood glucose, is 7.5% or higher, every year it's there, you lose 100 days off your life. So if it's at that for 15 years, you lose 4 years off your lifespan. That's how damaging glucose is to your blood vessels. And it's actually rare to die from diabetes. It's very rare. It's what diabetes leads to. It's the heart disease, the kidney failures, the amputations, etc. I saw this with my dad. So let's ask the question, how much sugar can the body hold? Well, we have some reserves. In the bloodstream, the body wants about 1 teaspoon of sugar in the entire bloodstream. So when you're fasted and you touch your fasting glucose, that's 80 milligrams per deciliters. Then we have backups. We have the liver and the muscle glycogen. We can store about 25 to 30 teaspoons in the liver and 100 teaspoons in your skeletal muscle, depending on how much muscle mass you have. So that's considered what the body can hold. But what is the average person eating? And these are actual stats from Chronometer. 1 bowl of an acai bowl from Jamba Juice is 20 teaspoons of sugar. That's almost 100 grams of sugar. Lucky Charms, 12 teaspoons of sugar, 60 grams in 2 servings. Oatmeal, which by the way is typically loaded with glyphosate, 2 servings is 10.4 teaspoons, 52 grams. Orange juice, same thing, 10.4 teaspoons. So you can see what's happening with this high sugar load, and combine that with the average American eating 17 to 23 times a day, snacking and grazing. They're raising glucose and insulin 17 to 23 times per day. The body is not equipped to handle that. So that is like saying, here's an analogy I got from my friend Dr. Fung. Name a musician. What's your favorite musician? Anybody want to shout out their favorite artist? Rosalia. All right, my fiance says Rosalia. I know she loves Rosalia. So let's say my fiance Natasha got Spotify on her phone, put on her headphones, and she started listening to Rosalia nonstop. Listening to Rosalia, she's dancing, but she doesn't take a break from listening to the music. She goes to bed with the headphones on, listening to music. Doesn't take any break. After a few weeks, she's going to feel like that volume is decreasing, right? Because she's not taking a break. So what does she do? Instead of taking a break, she just increases the volume from 50% to, let's say, 70%. But she doesn't take a break from listening to the music. After about a month, same issue. She is at a point now where that volume is 100%. What is happening to her? She's going deaf to the music. What is happening to us with high carbs and frequency of eating? We're going deaf to the screams of insulin. The music is your pancreas shouting out insulin. And then, of course, our hearing is the receptor sites that need to pick up that message. When you're eating frequently and eating high carbs, you are burning out the beta cells. You're going deaf to the screams of insulin. So the solution is to dial down the music. Keto, fasting, get more sensitive with your hormones. And here are some studies. I just want you to pay attention to the red font there on what a keto diet does to reverse type 2 diabetes. At the 6-month mark, compared to control diets, the keto diet had a higher remission in 57% of patients with type 2 diabetes. 57% at the 6-month mark. This one is showing at the 1-year mark, they were able to lower their A1C below 6.5%, which is where you're classified as diabetic, in 42 to 69% of the patients. And this study at the 2-year mark showed a 53% reversal in type 2 diabetes and 17% with keto. And I looked at other studies, drug trials showing similar effectiveness to what I just showed you. Nothing. There's not one. That's why Big Pharma hates keto. That's why there's a big movement to come after keto and carnivore and these more ancestral diets. Number 5, sick care. We live in a world in America where we're being sold sickness, and even worse, they're creating sickness for us. And here's how it works. It's a big cash cow for Big Pharma to make profits out of us. The example is this. Somebody goes to Walgreens or CVS, their convenience store. At the front of the store, they see the packaged foods with artificial franken-food ingredients, right? And they buy it because it's cheap. And they eat this food-like substances, and they go home, and they get symptoms. So now they contact their conventional doctor, they get a prescription, they go back to the same store, but now they go to the back of the store to pick up the prescription. But they don't change their ways. They are still eating the artificial crap. So they return to the front of the store. They get more symptoms. They come to the back of the store. They're back and forth. They're hooked. But here's the thing. Symptoms are not the problem. Symptoms are a gift from your innate intelligence to show you something you're eating, something you're thinking, something in your environment, taking your body out of homeostasis. This is the way of a check engine light to show you to pay attention. Not to mask it, but to actually look at it as a gift. So if you're dealing with a symptom, look at that as a gift. What can you do to open up the hood and find out what's turned on that check engine light? And the truth is, a cured patient is a lost customer. Neville Goddard said, we are only limited by weakness of attention and poverty of imagination. Let me explain this and how it relates to what I'm sharing here. And Dr. V is going to talk about this later, by the way. So the subconscious mind runs the show. And weakness of attention is mainstream news, which I call fear porn, social media, friends, family, coworkers, billboard, TV commercials. And let me relate this to what I mean here. So here's a photo of me and my mom. I love my mom. She's my superhero. Every Thursday, me and my fiance have dinner with her. And there's a problem with the dinner, by the way. And here's the problem. My mom likes to watch TV. She watches Hallmark Channel. And the TV commercials are on the whole time when we're at her place, right, Natasha? And I'm seeing all these commercials for this medication, fast food, medication, and I'm wondering, what percentage of these commercials on TV are funded by Big Pharma? And I'm going to ask you the question. This is the first question. What do you think the percentage is of TV commercials that are funded by Big Pharma? What do you think it is? 50%? 80%? 90%? Nobody's hit it. I'm going to give a book away for the person who nails it directly. 98. All right, you said 80%? You're the closest. 75%. Here, get a book. Give her a big round of applause. She earned it, yeah. 75% of the commercials on TV are funded by Big Pharma. Next question I asked, out of the 195 countries, how many countries allow for Big Pharma to market on TV? How many countries? Stephanie got it. 2. Yeah. 2 countries. New Zealand and the United States. Stephanie, here you go. Get a book. Everybody give Stephanie a big round of applause. Yeah. Yes, you're awesome. Only 2 countries. Next question that I asked. Now, keep in mind, if 75% is from Big Pharma, that means we have 25% left. Out of that 25%, what percentage comes from fast food restaurants? No, so let me share it again. If we only have 25% to work with, so it needs to be 25% or less. You say 15%? Okay. You're close. It's 11 to 29%. You get a book too. Here you go. Give him a big round of applause. Yeah. Good to see you, man. Here you go. So essentially, this is how it goes when you're watching TV or TV's on in the background for your children. Take this medication, but if you have an erection for more than 4 hours, contact your doctor. High cholesterol, take this statin and let's lower it. Oh, but then make sure you go stop at McDonald's or Papa John's or Little Caesars. It's back and forth and back and forth. But here's the thing. Your environment determines your beliefs and your thoughts. Your beliefs and your thoughts determine the actions you take and your habits you create. The habits you create and the actions you take determine your results and essentially your destiny. It starts with your environment. If we don't clean that up, it's going to be very difficult to implement what you're learning this weekend. And this came out from Tufts University last year, Dr. Bo Safarian. And what they're showing you here, items in green, eat it. Eat a lot of it. Items in yellow, in moderation. Items in red, avoid it. So let's start with the green. Honey Nut Cheerios, orange juice with calcium, frosted mini wheats. Items in yellow, egg substitute, fried in vegetable oil, Lucky Charms. Items in red, red meat, cheddar cheese, eggs fried in butter. They're telling us that eggs fried in butter and red meat is more dangerous for your health than Lucky Charms. Who believes that? Yeah, you don't believe that, Paul. So essentially, if you're confused about the amount of information out there with health and nutrition, pay close attention to what the government is telling you to eat and do the complete opposite. That's right, David. Flip it upside down. That's it. It's called the George Costanza effect. How many of you know George Costanza from Seinfeld? Can't stand you, Costanza. Anyways, episode on Seinfeld where George Costanza was getting crappy results in his life. Unhealthy, unhappy, miserable. And he said, man, everything I'm doing gives me bad results. So I'm going to do everything opposite and see how that works for me. So for example, instead of, he would walk up to a girl at a bar and before he would lie to that girl and manufacture something to look cool. But now, opposite. Hey, George Costanza, nice to meet you. I live with my mom. I'm broke. And he takes off his hat and I'm bald. And she would say, oh, come sit down next to me. And everything in his life started to improve when he started to do everything opposite of what he had been doing. So, when we look at what the mainstream media tells you to eat, if you do the George Costanza effect, you're going to get better results in life. Always remember that. The illiterate of the 21st century are not those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. You love that quote, huh? Yeah. It's a great quote. We always constantly need to unlearn and relearn. All the time. Bonus. Last few minutes here. Your thoughts influence your health or disease. The average person, this is my favorite part of the lecture, so thank you for being here for this part. The average person has 60,000 thoughts every day. And psychiatrists estimate that 90% of those thoughts are the same thoughts from yesterday, and 85% of the thoughts are negative thoughts. Zig Ziglar called it stinking thinking. And I say, if your thinking is stinking, your dreams are shrinking. So how many of you talk to yourselves every day? Hold on, let me go to that slide. No, I don't have the slide. How many of you talk to yourselves every day? Raise your hand. Right. All right, put it down. Some of you didn't raise your hand. And you're thinking, do I talk to myself? I'm not sure. I think I talk to myself. I might talk to myself. We all talk to ourselves. But mental activity is not the same thing as thinking. George Bernard Shaw said 2% of the population think, 3% of the population think they think, and 95% of the population would rather die than think. What do I mean by that? Just because you're having thoughts does not mean you are aware of those thoughts. So we're going to do something here. I'm going to count to 3, and we're all going to shout out the word silk 5 times in a row. We're going to say silk, 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 silk. And then I'm going to ask you a question out loud. You're going to answer right away. Does that make sense? Y'all ready for that? Are y'all ready for that? Okay. We're going to say silk 5 times in a row on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Silk, 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 silk. What do cows drink? Who said milk? Most of you did. Now cows produce milk, they drink water, right? That's a silly example to show you that we just go through the motions. The subconscious mind runs the show. But when we stop to become aware of those thoughts, we would have said, oh, water, may drink water, right? So just because we're having thoughts doesn't mean we're consciously aware of them. And that's a big part of it, because Dr. Bruce Lipton has proven that your thoughts are a frequency that communicate with your DNA to produce proteins, either inflammatory or anti-inflammatory. Meaning, if you have 60,000 thoughts a day, the greatest biohack I could ever teach you is that when you master those thoughts, you will master your health, because you have 60,000 opportunities every day to put your body in an anti-inflammatory state. That's how incredible we are. Bob Proctor said, thoughts become things. If you can see in your mind, you will hold it in your hand. You are the most influential person you'll speak to today. I'm running out of time. There's one last thing I'll share here, and then I'll hop off the stage and do the book signing. The best supplement that you can get for anti-inflammation, health, and longevity biohacking is something called vitamin G. Vitamin G, Dr. Joe Dispenza has proven... Dr. Joe Dispenza has proven it helps the immune system, it lowers cortisol, it helps to build up IgA. They did a vitamin G workshop where they took vitamin G and they saw their IgA levels jump from 52 to 86, which protects the immune system. So vitamin G has been proven to repair the brain and enhance 1,200 chemical responses right away. GABA, dopamine, oxytocin. Vitamin G lowers blood pressure. Vitamin G lowers blood sugar levels. Where do you get vitamin G? Is there a vendor over there? No, right? Because vitamin G is the practice of gratitude. It's feeling gratitude. Give it up for gratitude, right? Those studies are studies on gratitude. And gratitude is something we feel, not a checklist. Vitamin G is the most powerful thing, because what you appreciate appreciates. It's a universal law. And if you don't believe me, this is the last thing I'll share with you. Believe her.
How do you think you've lived to be 97? Like, how do you think you made it this many years?
I don't know. Because I'm naughty. I eat sugar. I eat butter. I eat things that I should not eat. And I have all my life.
Well, what do you think is the secret? You know, people ask me and I tell them that you pray a lot, you have faith.
I do have faith, yes. I really spend, like, I cannot end my day without being grateful. I never take anything for granted.
So that's probably the secret. That's how you live to be 97.
I don't know.
Because you never end your day without being grateful.
I don't know. I really don't.
You have a lot of gratitude in your heart.
Yes.
What if I told you that some of the most dangerous signs of heart disease are so subtle, you might never even suspect they're putting your life at risk? These stealthy symptoms can easily be mistaken for everyday health issues, leading to a false sense of security. Ignoring these warning signs could mean missing the critical opportunity to prevent a catastrophic heart event. In this lesson, I'm going to be sharing with you 7 warning signs your body is trying to warn you about regarding heart disease. The first warning sign is shortness of breath. If you find yourself having shortness of breath from maybe climbing some stairs or walking to the grocery store from your car or picking up some bags, and it's happening on a frequent basis, this could be a sign of heart problems. This occurs because the heart may not be pumping effectively, leading to a fluid buildup in the lungs. If this is happening on a persistent basis, it could be a red flag for heart disease. When fluid accumulates in the lungs due to heart failure, it impedes oxygen exchange, making it difficult to breathe. Reduced oxygen delivery from conditions like coronary artery disease prompts the body to increase breathing rates. Abnormal heart rhythms, such as atrial fibrillation, disrupt efficient blood circulation as well, leading to breathlessness. So whether you're getting tired from day-to-day tasks, getting shortness of breath, or you have an intolerance to exercise, this could be because of compromised heart function. The second warning sign is swelling in your legs, ankles, or feet. Swelling in the legs, ankles, or feet, known as peripheral edema, is a common symptom of heart disease, particularly heart failure. The swelling occurs because the heart's reduced pumping efficiency leads to increased pressure in the veins, causing fluid to leak into the surrounding tissues. When the heart fails to circulate blood efficiently, blood backs up in the veins, leading to fluid accumulation in lower extremities. This fluid typically can worsen with gravity, making swelling more noticeable in the legs and ankles later in the day, especially after you've been sitting down for a while too. Studies highlight that worsening edema is often an indicator of progressing heart failure and may necessitate adjustments in treatment, such as diuretic medications and fluid retention aids that you might be on right now. So talk to your doctor for sure if this is happening to you. The third warning sign is for men, and that is erectile dysfunction. And there's even something else which I'll get to with men, but erectile dysfunction is a huge red flag that you are at risk of heart disease. A study published in the American Association journal called Circulation, this study analyzed data from nearly 2,000 men with an average age of 69 years old who had no history of heart disease or stroke. The researchers found that men with erectile dysfunction were twice as likely to experience heart attacks, strokes, or cardiovascular deaths compared to those without the erectile dysfunction. This association remains significant even after adjusting for the other risk factors like diabetes and high blood pressure. The study emphasizes that erectile dysfunction is a strong predictor of cardiovascular events and that men with ED should undergo comprehensive cardiovascular evaluations to detect and mitigate risks early. Another study, which was a prospective cohort study from the 45 and up study, this large-scale Australian study included 95,038 men aged 45 and over. The researchers found that men with severe erectile dysfunction had significantly higher risk of cardiovascular diseases, including ischemic heart disease, heart failure, and peripheral vascular disease compared to the men without the erectile dysfunction. The study highlighted that the severity of erectile dysfunction correlated with an increased risk of cardiovascular events and all-cause mortality. Here's the link between erectile dysfunction and heart disease. Both erectile dysfunction and heart disease is primarily due to shared vascular and endothelial function. Both conditions are associated with impaired nitric oxide production, which is crucial for vasodilation and proper blood flow. Atherosclerosis, for example, a common factor in both erectile dysfunction and heart disease, involves the buildup of plaque in the arteries, leading to reduced blood flow, chronic inflammation, low testosterone levels, and an autonomic nervous system that is dysfunctioning further exacerbate these conditions. So if you're a guy watching this and you have erectile dysfunction, the good news is that there's some natural ways to overcome this. That's outside the scope of this video, but just know that it is a red flag. And let's say you don't have the issue of erectile dysfunction, but you wake up in the morning without morning wood on a consistent basis, those could be even early warning signs before it leads to erectile dysfunction. I will tell you this, one of my favorite supplements for naturally increasing testosterone in men and women, because it's important for women too, it's called Upgraded Tea by Upgraded Formulas, and I'll drop a link and a coupon code for you to get that product if you want to use it. The fourth warning sign is lightheadedness and dizziness. Lightheadedness and dizziness can be an indicative of heart disease due to several mechanisms. Cardiovascular conditions like arrhythmias, heart attacks, and even heart failure can reduce blood flow, leading to a sensation of dizziness or faintness. This occurs because the heart may not pump enough blood to maintain adequate oxygen to the brain. Additionally, conditions as in sudden drops in blood pressure can trigger dizziness upon standing or during stressful events. The fifth warning sign is persistent coughing or wheezing. A persistent cough or wheezing can indicate heart disease, particularly heart failure due to fluid buildup in the lungs known as pulmonary edema. This condition results from the heart's inability to pump blood effectively, causing fluid to accumulate in the lungs and airways, leading to symptoms like as persistent, often a frothy cough, and wheezing termed cardiac asthma. Several studies highlight that these respiratory symptoms are commonly accompanied by shortness of breath, rapid breathing, and crackling sounds in the lungs. The sixth warning sign is a surprising one to a lot of people, but it's jaw, neck, or back pain. Now, before you are alarmed there, that doesn't mean that if you're having jaw, neck, or back pain, you're having a heart attack, but here's some interesting research. This is often linked to heart attacks, especially in women. Unlike the classic chest pain, these pains are less recognized, but are crucial indicators of heart disease. Pain in these areas is typically due to referred pain, whereas the heart's decreased blood flow and oxygen levels, called ischemia, cause discomfort that radiates to the jaw, the neck, and the back. Studies have shown that about 4 in 10 people experiencing a heart attack report oral facial pain, including jaw pain. This type of pain can sometimes be the primary or sole symptom of a heart attack, particularly in women. I don't know why, but that's the case. The pain might feel oppressive, burning, or crushing, and it can occur during physical exertion or even stress, but it also might happen at rest. In one study from the Cleveland Clinic, a man experienced jaw pain for 5 years before it was correctly diagnosed as a symptom of coronary artery disease. So, something to be aware of. The seventh and final warning sign of heart disease is extreme fatigue. Now, it doesn't mean if you have extreme fatigue, you have heart disease, but check out this research. Unlike typical exhaustion from daily activities, extreme fatigue is associated with heart disease and can feel overwhelming and persistent even after resting. This symptom often appears unexpectedly and can significantly impact one's ability to perform everyday tasks. It occurs because the heart's reduced efficiency in pumping blood results in insufficient oxygen and nutrients reaching the body's tissues, leading to a constant feeling of tiredness. Studies have shown, and I'll reference them down below, that individuals with coronary artery disease or congestive heart failure often report extreme fatigue as an early warning sign, sometimes even become more classic symptoms like chest pain or shortness of breath that could also become apparent after. Now that you know the 7 warning signs, I don't want you to freak out. I know that we could have a tendency to say, oh my gosh, I have heart disease. It doesn't mean you have heart disease, but here's the thing. Einstein said, intellectuals solve problems, geniuses prevent them. It's so much better to be proactive than reactive. So good job watching the video, and I have good news for you. I just released a brand new video outlining 5 vegetables to consume on a consistent basis to prevent a heart attack. Green.
George Costanza. I loved that show when I used to watch it. And basically, he's right. This morning, I had scrambled eggs, which he said have 4 because the protein, they got a lot of protein in it. And I crunched up some bacon and had that in it. And then I put olive oil over it with 2 slices of tomatoes. And I'll tell you what, I'm not tired at all. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to clean the camper. I mean, I feel really great. Seriously. And I love toast. And I think because I didn't eat the toast, because it's a lot of carbs and stuff, because that's what makes you tired. So I'm doing this stuff. I love this guy. This guy is straight up. He's telling you stuff that doctors won't tell you. I've had one doctor. Remember, I've had one doctor. She was a diabetic doctor. She helped me lose 100 pounds, like I told you before in another video. And it was by eating pretty much like this. So, listen to your doctor if they're telling you stuff like this. The bad oils, definitely do not touch those. I olive oil, and only a certain kind, like he was telling you to. I take shots of that. My health has been tremendous. I'm 62 years old, and I got tons of energy. I go 10-speed riding, 21 speeding actually, all the time. But remember, why wouldn't your doctors tell you this stuff? We have never been told this my whole life. My whole life I've never been told any of this stuff. And it just clicks and makes sense, and I'm going for it. And I'm going to put up more videos from this guy because, I'm a government audit, and I'm auditing the government and the doctors and the corporations because they're lying to you. And there's a reason why they're lying to you, and it's Big Pharma. They're connected. All right. Hey, subscribe. Love you guys. Leave a comment. Hit that button. And we'll see you again. Bye.